Market to Market is everywhere you are. Subscribe to Market on YouTube, find us on the PBS video app to stream on demand, and add our 3 podcasts on your favorite podcasting app.
25-pound bags of all-purpose flour are being filled at Farmer Ground Flour in Trumansburg, New York. Each bag marks the halfway point of the journey for grain grown in New York State to the plate of consumers in the Northeastern United States. The circuit for this grain from field to table could be as short as 15 miles, which is exactly as the owners intended.
My grandfather was a German immigrant. He was a baker. And when I was a kid, I used to run around in the bake shop, get covered in flour. And when it dawned on me that his main gig was flour, I thought, oh my gosh, I should try and look at producing flour from the grain that I grow on this farm. And in that way, I can increase the value of it, so value added.
The first challenge in Tor Oshner's flour project was discovering that grinding flour isn't a hobby to be done as a home business. Flour is a food product that's regulated by the state of New York. Milling flour requires a facility. A facility requires scale. That scale came slowly.
So originally I thought I was going to be an organic farmer, got sucked into flour milling, and I'm happy I did. I really like it. I still get to work with farmers a lot, have an understanding of agriculture and all that stuff.
Greg Russo met Oshner as a student at Cornell University in nearby Ithaca, New York. As both men discovered the demands of flour milling, Russo took charge of the mill full-time. The early grinds were performed by manually pouring grain from a bucket into the mill. Demand has driven multiple expansions and the hiring of staff. The mill now runs 14 hours a day, 7 days a week, producing over a dozen different products. But working with grain from New York State has its own set of challenges.
95% of the bakers said this: you cannot grow food-grade wheat in New York. It's going to be crap. We can't grow good bread. Flour here, you guys are nuts. This is never going to work. And, you know, we were so stupid that we did it anyway.
200 years ago, Rochester, New York ground more flour than any other city in the world. Flour milling soon migrated to the Western Plains, which is better suited for wheat.
And any miller will tell you there's a big difference between hard wheat grown on the Western Plains and hard wheat grown on the East Coast. So, but upstate New York does happen to be a pretty favorable little pocket for growing bread wheat. That's sort of central to our identity and mission statement, sourced locally.
Their flour finds its way into commercial bakeries throughout the Northeast, forming the base of a broad range of breads and pastas. Another part of the mission of Farmer Ground Flour was to supply Wide Awake Bakery 3 miles away.
Turns out that stone milling, all milling, is an extraordinarily complicated business. And to make a really nicely performing flour takes a lot of expertise that is really not taught anywhere. I mean, I know that there are places to learn milling, but again, this is all large-scale industrial roller milling. There simply isn't the knowledge base for stone milling. It's died out. That is gone.
A dinner with Russo and Oshner convinced Sanders to open a bakery. The farmer and the miller now had a baker as a partner.
I thought he was crazy, but 2 bottles of wine makes crazy look better, and so it started to look pretty good. So that was kind of the instigation.
The community around Ithaca is key to the partnership's success. Many households in the region buy locally produced food or participate in a CSA during the growing season, so the addition of a bakery with locally grown and ground flour was an easy sell. The niche where Wide Awake Bakery sits is focused on a high-quality product that can't be produced on an industrial scale.
It's a craft work, which is very satisfying to some people. It's not for everybody. It takes a tremendous amount of dedication. It's a very long road to learn how to make great bread. You know, any fool can make good bread, but to make great bread is actually extremely challenging.
The partnership between grower, miller, and baker provides the opportunity for feedback to each part of the process.
This was this giant feedback loop where we were making flour, I was growing wheat, and we were getting back information from the end user, the baker, and they were telling us what we needed to do, and us making the mistakes, doing the experiments, getting some victories. Slowly over the years, all these different little tricks that we learned over time has slowly improved our flour to the point where, people really think it's good flour.
The techniques of organic production limit the amount of grain available each year, but also provide the opportunity for more farmers to market their grain through farmer ground flour.
A lot of the farms we work with are at the about 1,000-acre scale, but since they're organic, they have all these crop rotations, and you can't plant your whole farm to wheat, right? So of any of these farmers, we're only buying a fraction of their total acreage, their total crops, which is why we pull from 7 or 8 farms.
Farmer ground flour sources grain from farmers over a 150-mile range of upstate New York to reduce its weather risk each year. Rainfall can vary enough across the region to limit the number of acres that meet the specifications for high-quality bread production in any one year. Grain that can't be made into bread is often sold to distillers or breweries, which have different grain requirements.
It's been really rewarding to be able to work with these farmers and teach them about growing food-grade grain. But we were also able to, because we've created our own market, we set our own prices, I'm able to supply a market to these farms at a way higher price than they're going to get anywhere else.
For Market to Market, I'm Peter Tubbs.